more lately, he's now discovered Africa. He's done this in Uganda and in Africa the first time. In a few months, I think last week you were in
Ghana.
In Ghana.
We did this in Ghana.
Based
upon the Uganda example, we did it in Ghana.
Yes, and when we were doing it in the region, I think we had some people to learn from here. And in next week or next month,
Tanzania in April.
Yeah, so I think we might get you someone here to help you to stay.
Yeah. But it's all based on the success here.
Right. Okay, so just remind you, you all have the executive summaries in your folders. So what we shall be really presenting is a flavor of the findings, but you can actually cross-refer the information from your folders. And now I want to request Dr. Roy to introduce himself more properly and then give a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Lee. Once again, I'm Roy Maega. I'm Deputy Chief of Party of Resilient Africa Network and also a lecturer at the School of Public Health in the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics. I'm here to provide the context behind the results that you are going to listen to this morning, the background and the rationale for this assessment, and the outline of this presentation will be a context, objectives, methods, results in 3 thematic areas, and then we shall go to the conclusion. As we know, multiple loci in Uganda are increasingly at risk for adverse climate events. And the story behind that is big. Some of it attributed to natural cycles of climate variability, while also the issue of climate change is being questioned, the role in Uganda. But of particular note, we know that incidents are happening in the eastern region, where we are having recurrent landslides, and then floods in the lower areas. And then the Lake Albert region, we are seeing repeated epidemics and repeated floods. And then in the West Nile region, we are seeing repeated epidemics, the districts of Arua and Nebi and Zombo, and then also floods. When we look at these events on a seasonal timescale, that is the short-term timescale, the variability timescale, we see that these events render the same damage to livelihoods and infrastructure almost predictably every year. We can know when we are going to have the next landslide in Bududa, roughly now. We know that when the heavy rains come later in the year, then we have to look out carefully for Bududa, Bulambli, and even Kasese. And millions of aid have been poured into these areas. Whenever these incidents happen, you find millions of Ugandan shillings, millions of dollars being sunk into these areas. What this tells us as Resilient Africa Network is that there is a widespread lack of resilience and negative coping. Because if the same disaster events keep hitting the same area, causing the same events, then the issue is about resilience. We can be very good at response, we can be very good at reaction, but if these events come predictably and cause the same damage, then we have a challenge to resilience. Now let's look at the long-term scale, the climate change scale. This data comes from the Department of Geography of Makerere University, and indeed what it is showing us is that the rains in the wetter areas of Uganda, the average precipitation is actually increasing. And in the drier areas of Uganda, the rains are actually going down. The only good news now is that the differences are not yet statistically significant. So we cannot yet claim climate change in these areas. But this is a 30-year scale. If we added another 30 years, who knows where this line will end up? It might turn statistically significant. So that is what we need to appreciate, that we should expect more rain, at least over the next few years, in the wet areas, and less rain, and less rain in the dry areas. And if we're not careful, then we may enter into the domain of climate change. Now, when we look at the outlook of Butaleja and Bududa, the case study, we have serious landslides occurring almost annually. And some government policies have been implemented, including partial resettlement, especially from the high-risk zones. Some of these have been successful, with people translocated to areas like Nakasongola, but then there still remain some challenges, as some people who are resettled have returned to these areas. But the bigger challenge is that the communities continue to settle higher and higher in the high-risk zones. So the question is, what is wrong with the risk perception in these areas? What is happening? What is not bridging this? And it is clear that the landslides and floods will continue to devastate these areas because the background climatic conditions that are bringing them are still there. But why are communities taking higher and higher risk?